si bopam as a country, then host COP bi not because then buga climate justice or because then buga see change when it comes to, you know, the climate atmosphere, but because they don't even use COP bi si run the jais and oil, or, you know, they were not discussing renewables, they were actually discussing fossil fuels, you know, so an investigative journalist was used to uncover it. So a lot of things are happening, but we are here with
it's definitely
our gentlemen.
a political thing sometimes.
I agree.
So what we do, we'll delve into the newspapers, Janaba.
Yes.
We have the Standards newspaper here. Joseph Colley is new IEC chairman.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a significant political appointment, very crucial when it comes to our election process in this country. Right. First of all, let's talk about his qualification, I mean, to run that office, said Mati.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe to start with, just to congratulate Joseph. I think we've been working with him and the IEC for some time, especially when it comes to electioning. So he's not been a new phase in the commission. He's been part of the commission for, you know, as part of the technical staff. I think at some point he was heading the communication unit and engaging with people. And I think from 2021 he was made the vice chair, you know, at that time. And now he's been elevated to the chairmanship. I think he is one person that knows the commission, knows the issue of elections in this country, and yeah, for me, I'm confident that he'll be able to deliver and to, you know, transform the commission. He has the institutional memory, and he understands the dynamics, the delicacy of elections. So I think he should be in a very good position to address that and be, you know, a fair player.
Well, the issue here will be how will this appointment be viewed by maybe civil organizations and political parties as well, probably the opposition parties.
Well, I mean, the president has the power to appoint in consultation with the Judicial Service Commission. Of course, I haven't heard much from political parties, but I've seen some of the supporters here.
Reactions.
Yeah, some reacting on the other side, some welcoming the appointment. So at some point, any appointment will have to come with that. Some will be in favor, others will not be in favor. But if anybody has been part of the electoral process and knows the IEC, and you will know that definitely Joseph has been there, Joe has been there for some time, and we just hope that, you know, elections will be more, you know, more engaging.
Is it about, Mr. Mbuch, for you, is it about Joseph has been there, Joseph has the institutional memory, or are you looking for something else, something different from what Said Mati is talking about here, the institutional memory and all of that?
No, for me, first, the selection process.
Okay.
This is the IEC. It's such a foundational institution, really, in a democracy. Yes, Independent Electoral Commission. So how do we select the chair? Of course, it's the Constitution, the President does. Yes, as Said Mate said, in consultation with Public Service Commission, and you have security of tenure. There are all sorts of things in there. But where you have a contender, that's the president standing for elections, and the referee, the contender having to choose the referee, I think that is problematic.
Yeah.
We've had two systems like this. Go to Kenya, pre-2007, they blame this kind of situation where they accuse the government of controlling the Independent Electoral Commission and stuff like that. We've seen in Nigeria, it's been a long-running source of political disputes. But again, we've seen a contrast. We've seen South Africa, where a multi-party, non-partisan committee nominates. This perhaps should have gone to the National Assembly. It is a very, very important, delicate, that's it. Because you don't even want the perception of electoral bias from the referee. And we all know the personalized nature of our politics. The person who appoints you, you feel some kind of loyalty to that person, whereas you should be loyal to the state. So to my mind, there are dangers in this kind of selection process.
But Mr. Mboch, for example, Aliu Momanjai was appointed
By
by Yaya Jammeh,
yeah.
and when the time came for him to stand his ground to say, look, you lost this election, he did that. I'm not saying it's justifiable, but I'm just giving an example of when sometimes when integrity is key in a man's work, it stands out.
Let us be careful here. He might come in and be a brilliant chairperson, IIC chair. Let's make a distinction between what I will call formal flaws in the system and individual examples.
Yes,
we do that all the time.
That's
I'm
true.
just pointing out sort of like the formal flaws in this. You know, you have somebody who's competing, then appointing, the perception of it, the risk.
Involved.
And there are risks involved.
That's true.
That's all that
Well,
I'm
I understand what Mr. Mboch is saying. Sometimes, I mean, there is a common say, he who feeds you controls you at some point.
Yeah.
Why
I think also the you know, I mean, I think this was part of also the conversation when we were having the constitutional review process and, you know, the need for the IEC chairman and some of these prestatals or institutions, independent institutions, like National Human Rights Commission goes through the Parliament for confirmation. Those are important elements that we need to consider and always consider. But unfortunately, like he's saying, I mean, people raise this issue, but the current situation is that the president has to appoint. You know, and so if the president has to appoint, then the president has done his job, which is appointing. But the way that the elections, the way the commission works, the way the commission functions, that should be the responsibility of those commissioners, and that should be based on the set rules.
Yes.
And currently what we are talking about is like the electoral bill, which they're supposed to oversee, and is before Parliament. And right now they're doing anything that they want with that bill.
Yeah.
So, you know, so sometimes like, how do you, I mean, I totally see this point.
I agree.
And how do you navigate this within this current context is for me the interesting question.
No, but I absolutely understand, and everybody I've spoken to would point out that, yes, according to the 1997 Constitution, he can do all of this and that. I said, of course he can. But again, he can also decide that I will give it to Parliament.
Yeah.
He could have done that.
He can also do
He
that.
could have.
Just, you see, we are trying to change, you know, we're quite miffed these days because of the rejection of the draft constitution.
Yes.
We are trying to change the 1997 constitution because we are dissatisfied with it. So to constantly bang on about invoking it and all the rest of it, the president has decided sort of to ignore vast chunks of what's in the 1997 constitution, isn't it, really? So there are many things that the president wouldn't do, even though the 1997 constitution gives him the power. So he could have decided
time
to
is
do
running
it
out. So what we do, let's move on again.
But then, Balde, before you go, I'm glad they touch on the draft constitution because this is an opportunity to get into it smoothly. So when it comes to the draft constitution, what are your views? The conversation is already up, for example. Mixed reactions. Some are talking about the fact that if the 1997 constitution stays, then Barrow has powers as such, like the ones you mentioned, directly appointing people, doing that, and that is what the 1997 constitution says. The 2020 draft came, it was rejected. Now the 2024 draft is also rejected. So where are we at this point when it comes to, because at the end of the day, the 1997 constitution, like amend that, use to do certain things. So what's your take?
It was about time for us to have a new constitution. I mean, if we are to change our democratic, process, transforming to a democracy, I think the 1997 constitution is not suitable for the country to use that. I mean, it's about time.
Structurally, it raises a lot of questions, and I think this one is also part of it. You know, and for me also, I look at it as a democratic process. Of course, it is rejected. Well, it did not. It was rejected. 2020 was rejected, and so the question for me is whether, in reality, Gambians want to transition from this 1997 issue that we're talking about. But of course, people will always want to be sure. There's an issue of trust, I think. That's why also this one did not move. Because the opposition did not trust the ruling coalition, and so therefore, we couldn't get a new constitution. But this country really needs it, especially if we want to address the question that Mr. Boj addressed, and many other questions. I mean, we need to, and I think the 2020 draft basically highlighted some of those issues why we need to go for parliament. Because when you go to parliament, even though parliament is political, is all those different stuff. But at least it gives opportunity for even the majority minority to have a say in the process. And eventually, even if the majority dominates, the majority's ways might still pass, but at least it gives that
room to bring certain things
in and out. But unfortunately, sometimes at this point, I feel like there's been a whole state capture. We've been captured by the political elites.
Yeah,
and at some point, I mean, sense is not, I don't know, sense is not making sense. Maybe.
Yeah. So exactly. So let's move on. Serigne Modou Njie appointed foreign minister, responsible for our international relation. This is a very significant office. So him being appointed at some point, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media. I mean, it should be given to youngsters. Some people might talk about his qualification when it comes to foreign policies and understanding. But one thing I know, this is a very significant office.
I think he did a good job at the Ministry of Defense, and he has been a diplomat before and all that stuff. And for me, I mean, at some point, we can all have our opinion, have our option, but for me, I like what the law says in this aspect. And it's the president that has the prerogative to appoint whoever he wants. But yes, the president will do his job. But at the end of the day, for me, I also think the bigger picture for this country is how do we structurally build our relationship? What sort of a foreign policy are we trying to project? What are the issues that we want the world to know us for as a country? And that is very critical. It doesn't, for me at some point, yes, it matters who is there, but what matters is what is Gambia's foreign policy and how do we project that?
Beyond an individual.
And I think, that's the issue. Serigne Modou is, he's well known, highly respected, and we've seen what he has done with defense, but as diplomat as well. So we just wish him luck, and that this is his opportunity to help address some of the issues, both internal and external, and help try to project the Gambia's image internationally. And I think we have a loudmouth internationally, and so how do we really project that is also very important for me.
That's it. For me, this is a ministerial appointment. It's got nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
Yes, you see.
He made that clear as well.
That's it. Where I'll give to the president what he can appoint. His cabinet, nobody. In fact, remember when the constitution suggested that parliament should validate and all that. I said, no, you don't go there. But certain institutions of state like IEC, maybe you might need to. Independent. So now to Serigne Modou. He has received international training, as I understand it, trained in Pakistan at some point, Taiwan, Ghana. So there's that element. There's also the experience in Turkey. He was
once an ambassador
in Turkey, I know, and all of that. He's got all of that. So it seems to me he's got that security background. And to some extent, we are living in a kind of security-centric sort of world, so that kind of diplomacy. So he's very strong on that, I feel. But there's the other bit as well, the trade, commerce, that kind of diplomacy, developmental diplomacy. Maybe there's a learning curve there ahead for him. So it will be interesting to see. And then I will ask, why did Barrow choose a security-oriented foreign minister? Are we to pivot to prioritize security in our foreign policy? A question mark. I do not know. So I was thinking along all of these lines. So we'll see how he would pivot. Our country, we are so small. I mean, you take skill, how Sadauda used to do it. How do you build that kind of alliance whereby then you can get money, aid, whatever, then you use it wisely, because that's really what we are right now. The longer picture, they want self-sufficiency in this, that, and the other. That's the long haul.
So, Balde, I have a question here before we move on. So, for me, the appointment of Serigne Modou, during the Mansakunda Town Hall meeting organized by the Ministry of Information, the most challenging thing that came out from that particular ministry, according to then Minister Tangara, is that the appointment of the political appointees in our diplomatic corps. So how is he going to change that? Because that was the highlight of the Mansankunda town hall meeting. That is a challenge that is affecting our diplomatic, you know, system all over, because the competent individuals are not occupying these positions for the lobbying, for example, that you're talking about.
You know, this is why I was saying, like, it has to be, our foreign policy has to be structural. But when it is structural, also, it has to project what we want to project at the global level, the developmental aspect that he talked about. So you have to have that idea that this is how I want to be seen as a country, and this is what I want in terms of my national interest. And you build a foreign policy or institution, a foreign ministry that reflects that, that brings in the capable people that are that understand the international system, that understand that. But unfortunately, since the Jammeh days, what we've been doing is dumping people, you know, politicians here and there, and then keeping them, pushing them to the diplomatic community. And at some point, it creates this tension, because, you know, politician will always carry his politics everywhere they go. So how do you address those issues is also, you know, interesting for me, is that people need to serve their country. But, I mean, if you're projecting a national image, you know, you have to, you know, focus not only on the relationship between outside, but also how it is being managed and how that image is also being created.
There has been a lot of drama.
So for me, it's, but also the challenge for him is, like, he's not the ones appointing this ambassador.
That's the thing. So, and he doesn't have a say in it.
That's also the president.
And I think before we go, we have something to read, and I think there was an oversight of the IEC appointment. At some point, we should have, I mean, at least mention that here. Joseph Koli is appointed as the current chairman of IEC. He was the vice chairman since 2021.
Yes.
He rose to the rank from assistant regional electoral officer in the regional office at Kerewan to the director of communications, and as vice chairman, he was appointed by the president to the current position. He completed his law studies at the University of the Gambia and Gambia Law School. He was called to the bar in 2024. Mr. Cherno M. Jallo has also been appointed as IEC Vice Chairman. He is a retired diplomat. He worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs before joining the United Nations, where he was deployed to various countries, including Somalia, Kenya, DR Congo, Central Africa Republic, East Timor, etc.
Experience, you know.
So also moving on the papers, we have that the government of the Gambia has rejected its nomination for Batamberu, former Justice Minister. You know, what's your take on that? Obviously, did you see that coming? I kind of saw it coming due to the fact of what happened with the Gala protest, the revelations with the Jammeh assets.
I mean, for me, that's the only thing that the government could do, because, I mean, as much as the things are under investigation, parliamentary sitting committee, it can go anyway. So the most logical thing for me is the government that supported to withdraw that. And of course, I don't see how they could have maintained that support, especially because at the end of the day, you can maintain the support, but if it gets there, and then all these different issues will come up again, and you know, at some point the government must also protect the image,
and
the you know, anybody that is involved in anything. I mean, I don't think the government should give you that support. And,
unfortunate.
It has to be that
unfortunate. Way. And also, before you leave, Balde, yesterday I was having a conversation with Fatou Balde, and I was like, this is a topic we need to bring up here. Online yesterday, we've seen conversations surrounding child marriage because of a 24-year-old who has married an 11-year-old in a specific village.
That is illegal.
In the Gambia?
In the Gambia. So it's online. It's confirmed that the marriage did happen. It's posted online. So I can see all these activists coming to call on the ministry, the police. When the police was contacted, according to the source, the police had said they will not intervene because Nyari family ñoo takale. So which means still we have a lot to deal with when it comes to this child marriage
Yeah,
issue.
but that's totally illegal.
Yeah.
But what did the law say about child marriage?
Yeah, it's
Child
illegal.
marriage dañ ko ban si dëkk bi xale bu am 11 mënut
So
a
those that
consent
are
to marriage.
supposed to implement the law should implement the law.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, like sometimes also we need to, I mean, like society also. Like sometimes I don't know how we think about these
11-year-old.
things. Right now,
Yeah.
What's that?
Yes, an 11-year-old.
Yeah,
Fogu
so
la
I
dañ ko
mean-
takal boom.
Takaluñ ko boom de taka bi si boppam moo am.
Well,
and gis nañ leen together. So
Maybe, well, I don't know the story, but
Yeah.
I mean, child marriage is illegal in this country, and
Yeah.
it needs to be clear.
Yeah.
It's happening but this one comes up.
this
Yeah.
one comes
And
up.
it really doesn't make sense.
It
How can
doesn't.
an 11-year-old,
Yeah.
you know?
So
get
we're
married?
calling on the Ministry
Yeah.
of Justice.
How
We're
old is the
calling
man?
24.
24.
So we're
Wow,
calling on
that's
the
crazy.
Ministry of Justice. We're
Anything
calling
can
on
happen. Yeah.
anybody
They should
that
look
has
at
the
it.
authority to intervene
is
to actually
criminal.
stop this marriage. This
Exactly.
marriage has to be stopped immediately. And if it is true that when the police were contacted, they had said they will not intervene because it's a family matter, then since the new dispensation came, a lot of trainings have been done, said Mati. Will
Yeah, so quickly, we're
all
about
of
to
everybody
wrap
has
up.
done trainings to ensure that the capacities of these police are built. So now my question is, where has all this training, these capacity buildings gone? Because then they understand the law now.
I mean, it would be good to clarify and know what exactly happened.
Yeah.
But I also know that, you know, people have confidence in reporting such cases to the police based on our Afrobarometer surveys. And
Okay.
people, you know, but of course there's whole issue of stigmatization and all those things
That's
that
the
comes
Thank you,
in.
Seth
That's
Mati.
the thing.
We've
So-
exhausted
Yeah.
the time
Thank you.
already, and director is like, it's
Yeah,
time,
we had
it's
to.
time.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mr. Mamoudou Mboy. Thank you, Seth Mati, for always willing to review these stories with us. We appreciate the time you give us all the time. Yeah, so viewers will take a short break. After the break, then the program continues. We'll be right back.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
And more in a single touch. So, do your banking in Do your banking the smart way with the new Aji Bank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Aji Bank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Aji Bank, your investment partner.
Hi there, my name is Nuruddin Adams, a proud product of this noble institution. Heritage Christian University is not just a learning place, but a community that transforms lives and empowers its students to become compassionate entrepreneurial leaders. My journey here has truly been life-changing, and I invite you to come experience the same. Whether your passion is into business, nursing, midwifery, psychology, communication studies, multimedia technology, information technology, or theology and ministry, Heritage has tailored these programs for both the undergraduate and graduate studies to suit your goal. If you're ever ready to take your education to the next level, then pick up an application form and join us today. At Heritage, you are never alone, as members of the community will stand and work with you every step of the way. Welcome to Heritage Christian University.
Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money.
We are back. You are watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahima Balde, and I am with my partner in crime and everything.
Crime. I've never committed any crime with you.
You always commit.
No, I have never. Don't accuse me.
You are a crimey.
Yeah, so let's
move on to the next segment of this program. Human genetics awareness. I mean, when I saw this Janaba, I was like, Francis, you know, this thing, people don't understand. And I think it's important for us to at least sensitize the public on this.
And I'm super happy when I saw Human Genetics Awareness Association. And I never knew of its existence. But when I saw it, you know, often I'll have conversation with Gambians, Manelene, balanga say, danga wara dem test your work's partner. And then they will laugh at me. They will be like, Ligisun tese compatible. At least compatible. Why Solin say, you guys are married out of love, but don't bring kids and hot. Parce que so jure dom halay dañoo feebar because testu loo leen waaye in Gambia that culture mënuloo ko fexe ba def si boppi nit ñi you need to do this you need to
I didn't do all those tests
foog nga test balaa nga say
so we have Seynabou
and I'm glad Seynabou is here
genetics project coordinator Global Health Network Seynabou, it's good to have you on this program.
It's good to be on this program.
So let's start with what is genetics and why does this matter so much?
So genetics is a study of inheritance. So when you say genetics, we mean your DNA. And your DNA is in every cell in your body. And the DNA is made up of a genetic code. And you would call this code like an instruction manual for the body, right? So it would tell the body everything it needs, from your eye color, your hair, your height, everything about it is in this genetic code, and your body would use that for every single thing. And then that means diseases as well. So now in this genetic code, if there are any errors in it, some the body can tolerate, others it cannot tolerate. And then those would lead to what we now know as genetic diseases. So that is what genetics is about. And it is important because there's a lot that we as humans need to unravel within ourselves. And diseases is one of them, right? So if you know about genetics and you know about genetic diseases, then you can, one, prevent it. If you already have it, you can find a way that you can manage the symptoms, if not treat it. You can get support. So there's a lot of things that can go around it. So
So is this personal? Is this personal to you, coming up with this association? Does it have anything to do with family, an personal experience, or you just saw the need to come up with it?
So, all of that.
All of that, okay.
All of that.
Okay.
But then I think it is, with the association, there was a personal story, or there is a personal story attached to it. So, one, I've always been interested in biology, right? So that is one thing. And then when I studied at my undergrad, that is in Eastern Mediterranean University, I did molecular biology and genetics. And we were having a particular lecture, and it was on a disease called spinal muscular atrophy. So it's a genetic condition. But what happened is, I remembered a particular case that I had experienced. So I know this family, and I used to go to their house. And they had a baby. The baby never sat down, you know, never spoke. So the whole day. So you know, isolate family, we isolate waket, you know, can do them, you know, all of that. Hale bi bala mu am tu mu gañu. Fine, I actually was part of the people that believed this thing. Because
okay,
so I'm broken as you hamantene gomo naine halebi.
So you really believed it?
No, okay, because first of all, I was halala.
Isolation, bake everything.
No, okay, so once the malani meti halebi.
Holalulu.
Because halebi duran talk the fact nekari come bottom nekari move
in pain.
You don't even know because halebi munta joy def dara. Understand? So buma deme be janga mbele spinal muscular atrophy. Halebi was like a textbook symptom. You know, like when you're like textbook everything. Spinal muscular atrophy. And at that point, I was like, oh my God.
This is what this kid had.
This is what this kid had. Ki lila amon. And hamun ko, man mi haw mako, wa kid bi hamun ko.
Ñuy daw halebi.
Ñuy daw halebi.
Wow.
Koñ bi kenn du ñoo téye halebi. Yaay mom kenn mo amé halebi. So ko téye wuté dina jafé pour nga am sa kan moy téye halebi. Jappalé yaay bi. So I was like, you know what? Come man, I have been privileged, but I have a position. But I'm going to jang mbiri genetics. mun naa ko war a mun a disseminate, mun naa ko war a mun a jàngale as well.
Great.
So at that point in time, the creator one association or anything, but it was always at the back of my mind. So bu ma demee ba yàlla def ma dem sama masters bi at Oxford ak yooyu doon yëpp ba pare benn bés suma jëkkër sax ma forcé de mu ne ma tey dangaa toog we are going to write everything about this association because he got tired because saa bu nekk maa ngi wax mbiri genetics
you talk about it
dañ war a def dara dañ war a wax nit ñi he was like waa kay tey
let's just do this.
Let's just do it. And he's a lawyer, so it helped with the whole thing. So that's how the association was formed. But this particular story is like the backbone of lan moo tax bi nga xamante ne ma decided to choose this path. Ma xam ne we need to
so for me bëgg naa ñu focus a little bit si young people yi nga xam ne ñu ngi sëy ñuuli because generally comme lu ma doon explain al Balde when you tell nit su waree ñëw sëy because kooku ñaari nit a sëy ñu jur doom boobu noonu so what are the tips that you can give to people ñi nga xamante ne they're about to get married to prevent for example xale boobu noonu because xale boobu duna na for 2 years out of suffering and that child it could have been prevented pour mu juddu if the right test and the right advice was given to the parents.
That is a tricky question because
very tricky, right?
It's a tricky question because the ability to test it here,
it's a challenge.
The Monica challenge me. So for Gambia, I know we can test for sickle cell.
Wow, at least bobu tanana. The sickle cell bitam dafa bari.
Wow, sickle cell mom legi is one of nga xamantene nit ñi xam nañ ko.
Wow,
okay. So bobu no mun nga test for sickle cell at least. So this particular case I'm speaking about, spinal muscular atrophy, at this point I am not certain if you can test it from here. But I'm the Ben Association, Remembering Royal Foundation and Gambia La Field as well, because we collaborated with them sometime last year. With one of the diseases that they do speak about is spinal muscular atrophy specifically. Why kokunonisa mom si bopam dafa am pour dem be Angleterre.
I know the association.
Exactly. Because I'm not confirmed ne xale bi loolu am. So it's not here yet. So loolu moo nekk one of the challenges that we have is the ability to test for different diseases. So I guess the association, one of the main goals is to promote the implementation of genetic testing in our healthcare system. But you won't go for a test.
Wow.
So mun test at least the whole DNA kan mo ko waxe nga mun test yena disease nga ko ut. Comme may okay sickle cell am nañ ko waaye yeneen ak yeneen ñu fa. So di nga wax ne for example beta thalassemia. Dafa xala mel ni sickle cell because ñoom ñëpp they are both like blood related or blood type related. Waaye di nga gis ne you can test for that one as well, I want to believe. Te boobu noonu sax bokk na si yu nga xamante ne xamoo woon ne mu ngi Gambia. But man suma boppa dama doon test in the UK and then you were there's actually something here and I was like no Gambia we don't have the test.
So say na bu doguma la de waaye fu mu nekk nii man suma whole conversation be like thoughts actually is on the fact ne sometimes xëj na sickle cell sa maa balde xëj na suñu waree sëy ñu seet ne suñu amee doom xale bi dina am sickle cell there's this religious thing around it tamit it's very delicate even the religious aspect mu fa when these things are tested yow nga ne okay doctor bi na la soo amee doom de doom bi su ñëwee lii la moo nekka and then there's this general thing ne we'll have a child anyway even if xale bi su juddoo is going to be sick.
At some point nit ñi sometimes nuñ dee religion bi sax promote na pour health nga wér. Understand nga soo demee sax ba nga test nga xam ne ok this because yàlla may na docteur yi health boo xam ne mun nañ laa test ñu ne soo leen amee doom dafa hiiboon. Understand nga so obviously religion moom health la gën a amal concern.
That is true but ba léegi there's a cultural and religious
loolu sometimes nit ñi ñoo ko dee believe ñoo dee am loolu
because in Gambia here soo waxee ak ne daf laa ne yàlla moo ko indi moko faj moko dundal that's the kind of concept that we have the people buñ young that's the concept in people's heads it's the same as family planning buñ la dee wax ne duma ko def parce que dama jur and then those people are going to be fed automatically so it's kind of related because I've had conversations about this testing with people and dañoo ne sey nañ ba pare doom bi dafa juddu.
Okay so also there's a di nga gis ñu nga xamante ne sëy nañ am nañ doom kenn mu am sickle cell ñeneen ñi amuñ sickle cell okay so daf dee nekk lu nga xamante ne if you were supposed to do a genetic type of test you would say 1 in 4 chance ne di nga am
sickle cell
but you don't know that one is it the first second third or it's just an estimate understand nga so there's also a bit of a difference between nga prevent ko comme nga xam ne man AS la for example maa ngi am carrière la kii ku ma bëgg a si carrière la ngeen waxtaane ko and you see what you do it's different from nga xamuloo ko woon ngeen dem ba sey nga am doom am si ko sa ngeen seen taxa ngeen def exactly waaye da nga gis ne comme ma feel ne Gambie léegi toll nañ fu nga xamante ne ñu bari xam nañ mbiri sickle cell at least on social media, you see a lot of people advocate for it.
Yeah, you know, the social media community is just a fraction.
So I hear that a lot as well.
Gambia, maybe because you've not lived here for some time.
Most people don't go on social media.
Wow, lot of me because I get that a lot as well. Wow,
I'm saying community be tuti. Why? Because they're loud. The Gambia are aware when they're not.
Okay, because social media is more.
Wow.
The Gambia you bury neck in social media.
Wow.
You know, you have to sell some. Maybe you fall, but
they don't even check these things.
Exactly. So for full tamit, you know, coming like the local language come into play, the radio stations, and for full important tamit for doctors and nurses itam ham lu nekk di xew ku dem visit ko nga mu leen explainer and local, I don't know how they call it, is it the local spokesperson, local
VDCC,
people exactly ñoom tam they have that responsibility to go into the public to let them know of these diseases and these tests and prevention measures as well and again that's one of the things that we as an association want to work towards moo nekk pour dugga si biir dëkk bi the further severe death anywhere. waxtaan ak gaay pour ñu mëna xam lan mo nekk di xew. Because lu si nekk mooy so hey human genetics maybe it might be a bit intimidating understand nga waaye soo demee si nga ne ok feebari doona feebar bi nga xamante ne si family bi la nekk mun na am gaay dañ ko gën a mun a understand tuuti because maybe not sickle cell maybe yeneen ak yeneen di nga gis family bii nii and maybe nga ne family bii nii de dañ di am ndiga bu métti family bii de comme ten lii moom nii ni lañ façon yooyu noonu so xamuloo exactly noo ko ooyee waaye xam nga ne lii nii mu ngi fa so su fekkee ne am nga kuy ñëw mu wax la ne non lii nii actually mi mu nga ko prevent soo defee lii ak lii or maybe ñaari family si suñ sëyee seen doom yi duñ dee wéet then you know
there was a time Mark suma daat ñu ngi toog ñu ngi doon waxtaan you know am na lu mu point out de mu ne ma ne dafa am kii ak kii I can see li mu ngi nekk history si seen family you know si laa ko de ma ne ko ne gis nga sometimes we were talking about a particular tribe ma ko mention ñooñu noonu da ngaa gis mostly seen kër yi soo fa demee da ngaa gis yenn doom yoo xam ne you don't understand nga mu ngi bëri si dex bi understand so si laa ne suma daad ne ma ne ko ne gis nga sometimes am na fa nit yoo xam ne suñ sëyee loolu moo dee indi problème boobu
te li nga wax is exactly what we're saying because nga toog ngeen bi realize ngeen nii
lii dafa bëri si nii
and that is exactly what human genetics is about so di nga gis ne nga fu mu nekkee nii su ma laa wax ne ok lii mooy human genetic disease you already
nga mun a connect
di nga ko connect so di nga ne
exactly so when I said to that mu ne yow wax nga digga de mu ne because ñooñu seen family yi ñoom rek ñoo dee sëy
exactly and that is another thing
ba pare family marriage yi nga xamante ne dafa jege doomi nijaay doomi baajen yi nii I know it's normal but sometimes it can be crazy
because so they have mooy let's say if two people get married as well am na jege yi nga naa jege daf di isi problems
exactly
because loolu noonu dafa tax ba nga xam ne su fekkoon ne okay let's say AS right let's use sickle cell as an example man am AS my husband is not AS right so it's fine waaye su fekkoon ne suma biir family ma dem sëy ak benn someone I'm related to there's a chance ne maybe kooku dina am AS because it's the same family understand nga so di nga gis ne it's the same yeneen feebar yi tamit yu nga xamante ne xamaguñ sax tóori fii nii so su fekkee ne yow yaa ngi am carrière nga seen family bi carrière ngeen nga dem sëy ak nga xamante ne tam carrière xamuloo ngeen am doom there's a very high chance ne the disease would manifest mais pa li nga si lu si nekk mooy di nga gën a jegeñee la feebar bi day gën a grave noonu la mu dee gën a grave tamit
so generally da ngeen am campaign with the hospitals to encourage testing comme que xëy na sickle cell moo fi available starting from there te nekkul sickle cell kese sa but I think your association it's good that yéen a ngi promote testing in general because HIV sax léegi si dëkk bi nit ñi balaa ñëw sëy duñ ko dee test for they just get married. They don't even test for HIVs or the SDB, you know, as naka.
No, we just take the risk.
Ne say la, takanenko. They don't test for any disease before they get into it. It's so how has another
in fact, in the Gambia, nit ñi duñ dee dem check up.
They don't.
Suñ feebaree bañ daanu lañ dee doog a dem hospital. Suma maas yi. So you can
Like last
don't
week
mention it.
when you were crying upstairs.
So mention it. You know, yes. So loolu la.
Yeah, so are you partnering with health centers? How are you doing this?
So we have not yet partnered with health centers, but we are very open to partnering with health centers, with the ministry, with schools, because you ain't going to test.
Wow.
So lot tested mom
doo ko xam.
But unless mu dem ba nga xamantene fu mu tollu ni affaire si xana la it's already done jaxle nga.
Wow.
But fekk na time bobu mu don nga ko avoid. So ñun we are open to partnering, but what we do for now is dañuy def workshops yi nga xamantene we teach online.
Nice.
So right now there's not one running right now. Why I'm the time in like a November series it was man Axma Benen colleague from Oxford as well.
Nice.
So we were doing like an introduction to human genetics course online. We had a lot of participants, some of them were nurses, doctors.
Nice.
I had quite a nice mix, general public as well.
From the Gambia.
I had from the Gambia. But then the concerning part from there was that doctors and nurses after some message then they were oh lini sa bin ko don jangal ñu ko nonu bu baax. So understanding
So ñun
education system.
You see, that's the problem.
So that's one of the things that we are very open to chipping into. Understand?
Exactly.
So, for example, anyone wanted to collaborate to do a workshop on human genetics, we are very open to do it. Teach it at the university, teach it in high school, teach it to doctors, nurses. We are very available to jump on that.
For you to produce a healthy society, I think it's important for these things, for people to understand them. Health is very important. We owe it to our children. We owe it to the society. So thank you very much,
So before she leaves,
quickly.
Bena, 1 minute.
Quickly.
You went to Oxford. It's not a lot of Gambians that went to Oxford, right? So we should give you your flowers for that.
Thank you.
So how was the experience being a Gambian, just quickly, being in Oxford in that competitive community?
Yeah. To add to it, I was pregnant.
At the time?
I know.
Oh my God. I'm definitely coming for lectures.
Well, one would be try to not be pregnant.
Yeah, don't be pregnant, right? While going to Oxford.
I don't want to say that.
But it was challenging.
It was very challenging.
Wow.
Because hunger, as you said, it's a very competitive environment. But that's what made it a very beautiful environment.
Nice.
It was a very supportive environment as well.
Wow.
Because they knew I was pregnant before I came, so they arranged everything.
Wow.
So the education as well were very accommodating. But then out of that whole pregnancy thing, the educational aspect of it, amazing.
Amazing.
Because look how more you have the connections.
Wow.
It allows you into a room full of people that you know. You can tap into something that can be global. For example, I can sit here today and say that we can do these workshops, we can do these trainings. Why? Because I know there's a network
that you can tap
I can tap into. That if I tell them, okay, we have people that want to learn human genetics,
quickly,
they will
direct to the
come.
Wow, but congratulations.
All right, so thank you, Sena Bulaindu, for coming.
Yeah.
And we hope, this will be a success at the end of the time, and people will embrace, your initiative.
Yes, I hope so as well.
Make sure you go deep. Prevention.
They need it.
So Jay, we'll take a short break. Sure. After the break, then Q Radio Sunyureu Conference. We'll be talking to Suleiman Conte and, Ustaz as well. So we'll be right back.
Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Do your banking the smart way with the new Aji Bank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Aji Bank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Aji Bank, your investment partner.
Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply. Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply. Q Money and Orange Money has just made money transfer easier. Now you can send money from Gambia to Senegal directly from your Q Money wallet. So what are you waiting for? Get your Q Money account now and start sending money to your friends and families through Orange Money in Senegal now. For more information, call our customer care on 133. Q Money, Sunu Kalpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Your banking the smart way with the new Aji Bank mobile app. Transfer money to any bank account in the Gambia. Top up airtime for all networks. Pay utility bills. Check your account balance and view mini statements. Request for ATM cards. Request for checkbooks and more in a single touch. So, do your banking in a smart way. Do your banking now with Aji Bank mobile app. Every time is banking time. Aji Bank, your investment partner.
Nanguna. We are back. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are back again. And of course, the last segment of this program under Q Radio Suñu Réew conference. I think this is going to be the second year or the third year. Wow. So we are taking it to another level. Dañoo waxtaanee Suñu Réew conference bi nga xam ne Q Radio Suñu Réew boo xam ne ñu ngi ko war a def su soobee yàlla Supreme Islamic Council on Saturday te ñëpp a ngi ko parel bi yoon dafa different. Suñu réew loolu programme la boo xam ne radio programme la Q radio establish ko ñoom Souleymane Konté ak ñoom bari ak management Q TV Q radio bi make sure ñu am suba lu ñoo waxtaane te oustaz tam mu nekk contributor bu mag ndaxte su ñoo waxtaan si studio bi oustaz mu ngi si line bi muy leeral di indi ay leeral soo ñu ngi leen a dalal si programme bi Souleymane
da nga fare history programme bi sax waaye moom sax yow sax boo xool ñu ko ci ñu ko door.
waaw
waaye because
because
you are not consistent ma daal.
dang ma daal.
because you are not consistent ma daal bala Musa mu ñëw consistent with ma daal.
da nga daaxa bala Musa tam.
waaw ñëpp laa daaxa waaye kontaan nañ Balde. waaw because sunu réew comme ni nga ko waxee soo déggee tur bi rek define na boppam sunu réew so mooy programme bi nga xam ne ñu ngi ko def si rajo bi from Monday to Friday. nga xam ne ajuma ak araba waaw talata dinañ seet ci li nga xam ne mooy yëngu-yëngu yi ci mbiri réew mi nu moo demee ñu seet nag araba ñu seet ci wàllum wérgu yaram parce que lu am solo la Thursday nag dinañ dugga ci kër yi ñu seet ci affaire yi social life mooy suñ jikko yi ñun suñ boppa ci wàllum sëy ak yeneen yi ajuma nag ñu ànda full time ak imam oustaz Dia nga xam ne dinañu indil ay leeral ci ay sunu diine parce que diine bi tamit dafa am solo waaye the good thing is ñu ngi ko dooree depuis radio bi bu mu commencé daanaka lañ door programme bi
léegi roughly almost
7 years léegi waaye dañ cee sant yàlla parce que amul dem gannaaw dañoo gën a sant yàlla ne mu ngay gën a dem ci kanam di gën a improve nit ñi di wone seen kontaante ci programme bi ba tax na ñu dem ba sosal ko kuréel boo xam ne suñu réew WhatsApp groupe lañ ko tuddee am nañ fa lu toll ci juróom-ñaari téeméeri nit nga xam ne ñoom yëpp oustaz daanaka moom groupe bi indi sense ne ku ci bugg a laajte loo xam ne si rajo bi mënuloo am chance pour laajte ko ñëpp dañ dee mun a join si groupe bi su ko defee ñu laajte seen laajte yi moom nag 24/7 dina fa nekk di tontu nit ñi si seen wàllum diine pour ñu leeral ay affaire waaye nag nag nit ñi nga xam ne ñoo dee déglu radio bi ñoom ñoo ñu sas pour ñu defal WhatsApp groupe boobu noonu ñoom seen boppa ñoo ñu ne Souleymane yéen a ngi si rajo bi yéen a ngi wax ñun ñu ngi si kër gi ñu ngi leen a déglu so dafa funny ñun dañ dee portrait a picture of you people in the head waaye mosuñu leen a gis lii du télévision rajo la te ngeen seet ne benn yoon ci at bi ngeen am conférence wala ndaje boo xam ne ñëpp dinañ ñëw ñu daje benn mun nañoo xamante ñu ni neen officiel yi ñu recognize sante ñaareel bi tamit mooy ne oustaz li nga xam ne nu ngi koo def ci télévision bi ci radio bi su ko defee mu jàkkaarloo ak askan bi ñu taana benn ci topic boo xam ne dina am solo su ko defee ñu waxtaanee ko dem na ñëw na lii la ñu yombal ko lool nga xam ne dañ ne képp koo xam ne soppee Q groupe nga ñun duñ ko emale wuñ ko ci Q radio Q TV képp koo xam ne Q groupe yëngu-yëngoo mi soxal na la mun ngaa ñëw wuyu si keroog sa place ba ñu def ko si Supreme Islamic Council kon mënoo ko waxee juróomi waxtu ci ngoon ñëw ñu oon nit ñi ñu waxtaan
léegi ñu dalal Oustaz Jah moom tam mu sànni si ay kaddu ndaxte moom bokk na si ñi nga xam ne dañoo def waxtaan si bés bi
jërëjëf Balde maa ngi leen di nuyu di leen siyaar maa ngi nuyu soxna si baax si le
waaye deful kaala de lu dee def kaala
imaam xam nga man lana ma ne si oustaz
du dee def kaala
oustaz du dee George kenn
jigéen xanaa du waruta muuru
waay
oustaz lan la yàlla wax si Quran bi
mu
ne tell the wives of the believing men to cover their body loolu la yàlla wax
waaye dina ñëw
oustaz yow doo dee George kenn comme imaam Jalala di seetee xam nga man
mu nga jënd de
imaam waaye oustaz dama ko dee faral di wax ma ne leen man imaam Jah ak mufti Meng ñaar ñooñu laa dee déglu xam nga lu tax ma leen dee déglu parce que ñooñu dañ am understanding of the fact ne waruloo jooj nit ba pare ñu ngeen danka ak tiitaluñ ñu ñu ñoo jàppale pour danka yàlla dimbali ñu comme noo ko waxee imam yàlla dimbali ñu waaye man du ma dee déglu ñu maa ci jaar man ak imam Ja daal ak mufti Meng ak imam mi
tuddu imam bi si biir xolam bi moo ko jëna ba xam naa imam mu ngi wax si biir xolam bi xam naa next week su ma fi ñëw rek
dafa muuru waaw make sure nga muuru
xam nga Balde àddina lépp danka
jaay na la bu war
incha allah dina ñëw bu neexee yàlla
dañ ko ñaanal de ci dama soxla
ñu ñaanal ko rek yàlla defal ko tawfiq gis nga fan su guddee rek lu nekk xaj na ci na ko yàlla may fan
amiin yaa rabbi te dafa sëy ñu ñaanal ko moo jëkkëram waaw yàlla may leen fan bu gudda ak doom yu barke
alhamdulilah
masha allah
loolu kontaan naa ci bu baax yal na yàlla barkeel sëy bi yàggal ko neexal ko jaay rasulullah ñi amut tam yàlla may leen ñu am
amiin
ñi am benn bëgg beneen buntu baa ngi ubbi ñu bàyyi ko noonu
waaw ñu bàyyi ko noonu ñemeñu ma boobu
xam naa Balde kontaan na ci
man daal la maa ne amiin rek ma ndox amiin
yow su la perantiyee di nga xam
moo man ñu ngi leen di nuyu ñu ngi leen di ziar bu baax ñu ngi nuyu Q TV di nuyu Q radio di nuyu Q group in general Balde comme ni nga ko waxee programme bu am solo la ci ñun li tax mu am solo ci ñun mooy man dama gëm ne doomu aadama foo mën a nekk war ngaa am benn boor boo xam ne di nga fa jëriñ askan wi ngir yàlla maanaam tey soo amee sa liggéey ngay liggéey di wàcc di fayee ko war ngaa am benn ruq boo xam ne yaa ngi fay jëriñ nit ñi ngir yàlla loolu mooy échoué Q radio wax dëgg yàlla ñu ngi leen di bégee bu baax di leen sant di ziyaare Souleymane bile toog ak Modou Bari di ziyaare soxna Linguère di ziyaare soxna Awa ji waaye management Q radio bi ak Q TV ba tey ñu ngi leen di ziyaare ci bopp ba Mr Ka li tax ma wax loolu mooy programme bi dafa yàgg tuuti te olof dañuy wax ne lu yàggati rek xamal ne dëgg la lu yàggati rek gëmal ne dëgg la te li gën a jafe nag ci li nit di def mu sax mooy li ngay def ngir yàlla kese su saxee rek xamal ne dëgg la te alhamdulilahi rabbil alamin bañ commencé yàgg na léegi mu ngi dem si juróom nangami at 7 years ñëw Souleymane mi Modou Bari jàpp ci rek te bàyyi su ko defee li tax a jóg programme bi mooy programme bi dafa bugg a defar nit gis nga nit dañ koy defar léegi-léeg nga gis nit koo xam ne gis nga ko ci mbedd mi muy taxawaalu defar ko moo des te lan mooy defar nit mooy li mu war a dégg ci noppam yi nga ko fay dugal li mu war a gis ci bëtam yi ngay fexe mu koy gis li mu war a wax ngay fexe mu koy wax nam ko war a waxee su fekkee ne saa yoo xëyee comme ni ñoom Souleymane di def saa yu ñu xëyee am topic boo xam ne danañ ko waxtaanee ñu dugal ci askan wi ci seen nopp yi loo xam ne nii moom la ñuy indoo am na ñoo xam ne dañ ko tuddee ndéewoo bi sax da ngay dégg ku kool Souleymane ne ko man ndéewooguma de ngir lan déglooguma programme bi barki démb rek am na soxna su baax su wax mu ne doomam bi balaa moo dem school dafa bëgg a dégg mayeeb Souleymane mu ne dafa bëgg mu ne yaayam daf ne ko kañ dem school mu ne ko yaay balal ma rek ba Souleymane mayee ba pare ma door maanaam loolu kon mayee boobu Souleymane di mayee Balde mën na cee defar nit kooku noonu def ko foom boo xam ne nit kooku dana ci mën a gis yàlla dana ci mën a jàngee dana ci mën a defaree boppam loolu mooy njëriñal télévision loolu mooy njëriñal rajo kon programme bi lii moo ko tax a jóg dimbalante ak doomu aadama yi ngir yàlla defar jikko yi defar ñun suñu bopp defar suñuy jikko waaye àndaale defaraale nit ñi seen jikko yi ba nga xam ne kenn ku ci nekk foo teg sa tànk rek foofa la loo wax rek loola nga war a wax doo mos a wax loo warta wax loo warta wax mooy nga wax luy indi fitna wala nga wax loo xam ne day jaxase wala nga wax loo xam ne ku ko dégg du rafet ci nopp parce que ku xam kiw groupe ku xam kiw radio kiw TV xamee ko ci rafetal
waaw
xamee ko ci fonk nit xamee ko ci fonk réew mi mu nekk su lu mel noonu nag soo fa nekkee da nga fay jàngee yow ñun dañ ñëw fii nii jàngee nañ lu baree ci kiw groupe jàngee nañ ci lu bare bi ñuy ñëw am na luñ isiwaale waaye yokku nañ ci trop ci jëflante même ñi nga xam ne ñooy caméraman yeeg technicien yeeg ñëpp ñun dañuy jàngee ci ñoom Souleymane damay toog ak moom ci radio bi jàkkaarloo moom di jàng ci li muy waxee ak naka la koy defee kon Balde programme bi comme ni ko Souleymane waxee samedi la incha allah li tax ñu def ko rek mooy comme ni mu ko waxee rek ñun ñu bari ci juróom-ñaari téeméeri nit yu tegal yoo xam ne mosuñu gisante am na ci ñoo xam ne mosuñoo gisante dégg nga léegi-léeg nga gis ku la kool wax ba doyal waaye mosul laa gis mosuloo ko gis léegi nag initiative bi mooy nañ fexe ñu def benn programme boo xam ne ni at mu jot dañ ko dee def nga xam ne nit ñi danañ mun a dajee ñi mosta gisante ñu saafu wante waxtaan ci diine waxtaan ci social su ko defee ñu ñaanalante yàlla jàmm dëgg la
léegi oustaz ma bëggoon a xam rek ban format it na ko si mën a tontu rek ban format la programme bi di jël da ngeen di am def various speakers yi suñ paree ñu am question and answer session oo da ngeen koo def into group work
yeah that's a very good question li xew mooy moom imam Ousmane Omar Dia moo nekk main speaker bi keroog kaddu gi moom la te li ñuy waxtaanee keroog thème bi mooy naka la ñoo boolee as the Muslim umma naka la ñoo boole together pour gis ne naka la ñoo dëgëral suñu diine bi nga xam ne moom lañ nekk waaye am nañ xam nga kiw groupe soo ñun Balde kiw groupe soonuñ ñun dee sori sax dañoo def ni ñu gobi fii so yàlla def na suñu kilifa yi Ousmane Dia mu ngi suñu wet moom dañ ko jël si rek ne ko nekk yow waaw mu ne ñu ne Souleymane lépp loo xam ne kiw groupe la yaakamtiwu ma ci oole noonu nañu so Ousmane Dia dina fa wax Omar Dia mooy main speaker bi Ousmane Dia guest speaker la Imam Bay Sakho moom tamit beneen keneen ku xadar la ci li muy def yaa Seena Wu Njaay dina fa nekk ci wàllum jigéen ñi tamit moom tamit dina gaaral kaadum so ñii yëpp ay nit lañ ñoo xam ne waaw dinañ fa nekk waaw nit ñi dinañ am questions and answers tamit waaw tamit dinañ ko am ci diggante bi tamit waaw waaye lu mu gudda is not going to be more than 3 hours waaw 5 la ñu doole
a xam ban yokkute lan lañ war a yokka because bi mooy ñaareeli conference lan lañ war a yokka ren nga xam ne last year defuñ ko woon
so jërëjëf Balde dañuy wax ci terminology. dañuy wax ne lépp lu nekk di yokku rek. ne la wóor ne mu ngi wàññeeku. maanaam àddina amul dara lu taxaw nii. amul benn nga dem wala nga dellu gannaaw.
dëgg la
waaw foog nga dem wala nga dellu gannaaw. léegi ñun nag liñ gëm mooy programme bii di suñu réew dafa war a dem. du mos a dellu gannaaw. daaw biñ ko defee benn speaker lañ amoon. moom lañ ñëwoon teg mu waxtaan ak nit ñi mu jeex. moo doon imam Ousmane Diaw. léegi ren ñu gis ne nit ñi yokku nañ. demande bi xaay na. léegi ñu ne fi mu nekk ni kon ren nañ ko yokka nañ yokka speaker si ñu gën a bari. topic bi nga xam ne moom lañ jël ñu yaatal ko. ñi nga xam ne ñooy waxtaan ñu man cee waxtaan lu baree bari pour njëriñu askan wi. beneen bi mooy ñi nga xam ne ñooy teew si. suñ expectation mooy ne ñii teew ren ñooy gën a bari. ñi teewoon last year ñooy gën a bari. ñaareel bi mooy li nga impact bi nga xam ne moom lañ séntu mu am ren mooy ëpp bu last year bi. dégg nga su ko defee kon programme bu mel noonu nii lañ ko bugg a defee nga xam ne dañuy dem ñun ñëpp. ñu fexe ba time bi nga xam ne moom lañ wax ne moom lay door. su jotee dana door. exact time. xam ne duñ am benn waste time. li nga xam ne moom lañ bugg Alaaji Ousmane Ja wax. liñ bëgg Oustaz Mbay Sakho wax. liñ bëgg Oustaz Adja Seynabou Ndiaye wax bëgg nañ mu wax ko. dégg nga su ko defee nga xam ne nit ku fa jógee. ko képp ku dugal si ci programme bi rek sooy génn da nga nekk keneen ci understanding da nga nekk keneen ci gëm-gëm gi nga xam ne moom nga gëm sa réew gëm ko sa diine gëm ko sa programme yi Q radio ak Q group
time bi léegi 1 minute moo ñu dese
quickly ma yokk ci lii muy man muy yow Jenawa di Balde ak képp koo xam ne yaa ngi si media house bi di wax ci microphone da nga war a inspire nit ñi war ñoom em rek ci suñ microphone bi di wane nguur gi deful lii wala jëkkër yi dañoo li I mean we will talk and advise people waaye léegi tamit baax na tamit nga lead physically nga nekk on pro ndax lan la si setal nga nekk ndax ndaje la ndax programme nga am boo xam ne danga may and then yow tamit nga contribute physically
gis nañ Q radio mu ngee def yu bëri because Q radio work for health bi gisoon nañ ko you know loolu jàppale woon na fi ñu bëri gisoon naa fi ay kilifa yoo xam ne sax ñooñu that was the opportunity
bale duñ lim lu bëri Jenawa ñun fayal nañ nit ñi hospital bill si Sharap hospital bi close to 60,000 fayal nañ close to 40,000 contribute nañ 10,000 pour xale bi dem overseas treatment oustaz nga fàttali ma amen def nañ du bëri si juma bi si naka si weeri koor bu passé nii contribute nañ over 60,000 plus
kon ratis léegi nag man nag xam nga man moom xam nga man wax bi dama ko dee wax rek man moom wax bi dama ko dee wax nii rek management ni Q radio ak QTV nañ gëstu Q radio because QTV defuñ lii de
Q radio
raati de Q radio QTV
luñ def
QTV defuñ ko QTV seetaat leen seen boppam waaw
yéen jiit ngeen
Q radio daal lii leer na de QTV nañ seetaat suñ boppam
no me I'm surprised that def ngeen
man dafa mel ni dama bëgg a def Q radio
over 200,000 plus in on pledge sax duñ saske dañoo dem si groupe bi ne for exemple ne Balde de am na problème yi lii képp nañ leen pledge képp koo xam ne loolu in 2 weeks rek we have
man nag dama bëgg a bokk ci groupe bi
man nag waaye man nag fu mu nekk ni mis takka nag
war nañoo gëstu gaay nag waaw
I think more investment su leen gënee dooleel inshallah
Saturday la time bi 5 PM la Supreme Islamic Council suñu réew conference jërëjëf Jenawa thank you Suleiman Konte thank you Ustaz for coming. Until we come here again next week, do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.